Hey, what's up, Stringlings? Today we're going to be talking about the Joyo R-15 Preamp House. Let's check it out. The Joyo Revolution Series R-15 Preamp House is an all-in-one amp and cab simulator in pedal form that perfectly captures both the clean and drive channels of 9 classic amplifiers. The pedal features a 3-band EQ, as well as volume, gain, and master volume controls. The A and B switches trigger the clean and drive channels respectively, and are programmable to keep your setting from any amp on each channel. Clicking both switches simultaneously turns the unit off for true bypass in your signal chain. The R-15 features amp and speaker emulations from 9 classic and high-gain amps, including a Fender 65 Twin Reverb, Marshall JCM 900, Vox AC30, Mesa Boogie Lone Star, Mesa Boogie Dual Rectifier, EVH 5150, Engel Powerball E645, Orange Thunderverb 200, and a Friedman BE 100. To deliver these tones into the world, the R-15 comes equipped with a standard 1/4-inch line-out, as well as a balanced XLR output that can be run to the mixing board. With both of these outputs, you have the option via the cab sim switch to turn the cab simulator off completely, which is also handy if you have an impulse response on your DAW you prefer to use. Or leave it on for both lines, or keep it on for the XLR but switch it off to run a line to your onstage speaker. The beauty is you don't need to run both lines at the same time. They're available for whatever configuration you want. There's also a handy 1/8-inch headphone jack for practice. The Joyo R-15 Preamp House also features an effects loop, just like a standalone guitar amp. This enables you to use your time-based and modulation effects like reverb, delay, chorus, or flanger in the effects loop, just as you would use the loop on your amp, bypassing the preamp stage and engaging between the power amp and the cabinet. Used with an external power amp like the EHX44 Magnum, the Preamp House can easily take the place of a heavy or expensive amplifier in most stage or studio settings, and the high-resolution cabinet simulator impulse responses can take you one step further towards even more portability. All Revolution series pedals from Joyo feature the same design, construction, and aesthetic features, including high-grade, high-impact aluminum construction, rock-solid, reliable switches, and a super cool LED chassis light. The chassis light is also switchable, so you can have it always on, always off, or coordinated to trigger when the pedal is engaged. A lot of thought and development has gone into this pedal series, and it really is a spectacular leap forward in design and functionality for Joyo. To learn more about Joyo's Revolution series pedals and the R-15 Preamp House, visit www.joyoaudio.com today. Okay, folks. Rigged up here, I've got my Raven's Wing single cut Steve Barrett Custom, of course, and it's running into the Joyo Preamp House directly into my DAW. I'm not using any plugins for this. This is all going to be the tone right out of the pedal. Now, I'm going to give you a quick little tour of this pedal so that you can see what's going on here. So let's skip down to the desktop. The pedal has 2 switches, as you can see. The A switch is the clean channel for each of the amps, and the B switch is the dirty channel. So this is your lead channel, your rhythm channel, if you want to call it that. Okay. Now, what they do is they give us 9 amplifier options. So each of these is a classic tube amp. We start with the Fender 65 Tweed. The UK 900 is a Marshall JCM 900. And we can run down the whole list. I'll actually put the whole list down in the description, but the ones I'm most interested in today are the dual rectifier, the EVH, and the Engel. Okay, so it's got both the amp and cab sections of each of these amps simulated on this pedal. And I'll get into that shortly as well. Quick little rundown on some of the features you may have seen in my little walkthrough video there. It's pretty straightforward. Line in, line out. On the side here is a balanced XLR out that you can run direct to the board. You can also run it into your DAW, which I have not done here because my mic is using that one. But you can use that with the cab simulator on both outputs. Off entirely, so you've only got just the preamp with no cab simulator, or you can run the XLR to the front of house in this position, run the XLR to the front of house with the cab simulator on, and run your line out to a power amp and cab setup on the stage for your own tone. So whichever way you want to do it. All very, very cool options. It's got the usual 3-band EQ that you would see on any amplifier. It has a volume and a master control, so you can set those up, and of course the gain knob. Now what's very important, you'll see as soon as I move this knob, this light started flashing. This flashing light tells us that I've changed the parameter from what was saved. So in this position, I'm on amp 1, which is a Fender Tweed, 65 Tweed, right? And I can set this any way I want, and it will respond. More bass. Oops. I'm gonna put this over here so we have a cap. I am in drop C, so it's a little bit more of a baritone sound. I'm going to turn this back up. If I like this sound, I just hold it. Now it's programmed. Now whenever I come back to it, we're back to that sound. So very cool feature to just keep your tone kind of locked in. And there, of course, is the drive channel. Now, that's our overdrive channel. So, keep hitting this. That's our overdrive channel on the Fender Tweed. It sounds like a Fender Tweed with an overdrive on it. So that's exactly what it's supposed to do. And the same thing happens if we want to save this sound. We hold it down and it stays locked in. Now, what you can't see in the angle from above here is that LED you probably saw in the intro video on the bottom and the top of the pedal. That is optional, whether you want to leave that off, leave it on, or have it sync to the switches. So when the switch comes on, all of the lights come on. It's actually a really cool feature on stage because it kind of lights up your pedal board, and it looks really cool from the audience side too. There's a lot of techno stuff going on. And that's a feature of the Revolution series pedals from Joyo. So keep an eye out for that in some of the other pedals. I've got a couple more coming up. One more feature I do want to do before we get into the high gain stuff on here is up here is an effect send and return. So if you're used to using an effect send and return on your amplifier, you can plug them in right here. So anything that you would normally put through your effects loop can go in right here. It does exactly the same job. So that's worth checking out as well. And in fact, we're going to do that because Joyo has sent me a couple of other pedals that work really well in the effects loop. So in the next couple of videos, we're going to see that in action. And I'm going to show you how to use that to stack this for a stage or a studio rig. It's going to be very cool. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and jump up to the dual rectifier, and we're looking at channel 5 on this dial. So we're on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we're on 5. There's our dual rectifier. Okay, and if you listen, it sounds like a kind of a low gain version of that amp. Let's get that gain cranked up, and you can hear it kick in. Okay, so we've got the cab turned on, we've got the volume up. Let's take the mids down a little bit. Let's get some thrash. That's really great sound. I mean, just on its own, really great solid sound. You can tighten that up a little bit with an overdrive if you wanted to put like a tube screamer in front of it or after it. Depends on where you like to put your overdrive. I like mine in front. Turn the gain all the way down, and then we can adjust the tone and just really tighten up the bottom end. The same thing happens though when we jump to the EVH, which is the 5150 simulator, and we get a really good kind of a metallic crunch. I mean, it doesn't, you can't, it's hard to get a plug-in that sounds that good. Now, I don't have any noise gate on this, but I mean, you don't need it in a live situation, right? That's banging. Let's try the little bit of EQ here. I'm gonna scoop the mids and then we'll see what happens. That's tight. You put the mids back up, we get a little bit richer modern tone. I like a little bit more high for some sizzle. There's not a lot of tail on it either. That's cool. I just want to see what it sounds like on the clean channel. So right now, you see when I switched over, it went back to the Fender because that's what was saved. And there's our EV8. Sounds like vintage 30s. I think they just went ahead and defaulted to the vintage 30s. Joyo's cabinets, they actually sell a 212 cabinet that is stacked with vintage 30s, so I think that's where they got the IR for this. And you can upgrade the firmware on this system as well, so that's pretty cool. So what I just did there, I just saved the distortion sound and then saved the clean sound. Now you can bop back and forth, right? Yeah, so that's just a really cool feature. One thing that I will say though, you can't go back and forth recording this, or rather saving, just on the clean channels. Like, so you can't go, you know, from 1 to 2 to 3 and just save each one as a preset. You're locking in whatever you've saved. You get one preset for each of these switches, but you know, realistically, you can alter those tones either at the board or going into it with your overdrive or a distortion through the clean channels or whatever. So there are different ways that you can set this up. Super versatile. I mean, I love everything about this. Let's take a look at that angle. Am I on the angle? Yeah. The angle, what is it, BE 100, I think? Okay. So we're going to dial that down, pull the gain up. Angle makes a really great modern metal amp, right? How can you not like that? It just sounds so cool. It's a really tight amp. Yeah, I mean, I'm loving this. This is great. It sounds awesome. It sounds really, really good. You can go all the way down to the Friedman, just for giggles. I've never played on a Friedman, so I don't know if this sounds like it or not. That sounds a little bit more classic metal to me, almost like Soldano-ish. Yeah, I like it. So that's the R-15 Preamp House from Joyo. Fantastic pedal, does everything you need it to do. The one thing that I would suggest you do is if you're going to run it into a cabinet, you can run it into an amp like the Peavey here by plugging it directly into the effects return. That will bypass the preamp section of your amplifier and go straight to the power section. If you don't have an amp like that, or if you want to run it into a 4x12 cabinet, you'll need some kind of a power amp. This is my new favorite toy. This is the 44 Magnum power amp from Electro Harmonics. It is a 44 watt amplifier. It is super loud, very easy to use, plug in, plug out. Just make sure that you have this connected to an 8 or 16 ohm cabinet so you don't overheat this unit. But great little addition to the rig. With these two alone, you can literally walk into any gig and you're ready to go without having to bring your own amp or your own cabinet or anything. So make sure you check those out. That's it for today. So if you like this kind of content, please like and subscribe to this video. And if you feel a little bit more adventurous, join the channel as a member. Every little bit helps, and it just kind of helps to push these review videos forward. So whatever you can do to help, I greatly appreciate it. And in the meantime, thanks to Joyo for sending over this pedal, and I cannot wait to show you guys what else we have in store, because I've got a couple more from these guys, and they are top-notch tone pedals. So I'll see you next time.